Hey, and welcome to episode 19 of Kingdom Business TV. My name's Wez Hone, and for the next little bit of time, we're going to be talking all things Kingdom business. And as you can see, I have a guest with me today, which is going to be super exciting. All right, so here's how I'd like this to work, right? As you jump on, let me know where you're from, all right? If you're a regular, don't feel like you need to. But if this is the first time you're jumping on or maybe only a couple of times, I want to start to see where you guys live around the country, right? Having traveled a lot of the country, I get excited when I hear people from which part of Australia they're in. So let me know where you're from. Also, the big topic of conversation on this episode is brand and branding. So as we get into this, I want to invite your questions, either for me or Alex or both. So to do that, you just simply send a message to the Business Greenhouse Facebook page, and we will get your question. We'll get you to call through. One of my team will call you. We'll get you on the show, and Alex will be able to hear your question. I'll be able to hear your question, and that'll be super cool. So, all right, so I'll tell you a little bit about Alex. I'll give you like my rap. I didn't ask him for a bio because, well, I'd rather just speak from the heart a little bit about, our guests rather than something, formal. I was thinking before, Alex, I think I've known you since about 2014. I think that's when we first met. So there's a little bit of history there, coming up 5 years. And so as long as I've known Alex, he has had a real passion around the branding space and the marketing space. I think his technical background is in digital production, if I remember rightly, like events and stuff like that. And then he has taken that skill set into brand. And what I love so much about what Alex has now is, brand is a bit of a woo-woo concept, really. What is brand? How does it fit? All that sort of stuff. But what Alex has got is an amazing structure with branding, which allows him, to kind of pull forward, some good ideas, to be able to get it to work. So that's kind of like my 2 cents, Alex, on you. He's got a real heart for the kingdom. He's a real servant, in terms of the Kingdom Business Summits. Always attends, flies around the country if you can't make the one in Melbourne. And so he's been a real blessing to us. And this year, obviously, he's one of our speakers. I asked Alex to come in and talk brand and the structure that he's got for brand. And so Alex will be joining me at each of the cities around the country. Alex, why don't you give us your, tell us about C#, your agency, tell us about you. Give us the skinny on what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be on the show with you, Wez. Dating back 5 years ago when I was still the young, ambitious, stupid, startup person who wants to take over the world, and now getting to, 5 years in, 11 years into business, finally building something that is tangible and actually adding value to our clients. Thanks to you for your coaching and for your advice along the way is an absolute privilege and honor to be a part of what you do and what Kingdom Business Summit is doing this year. So yeah, thank you. So going back to what I do as an agency, so I run a digital marketing firm called C#, based in Melbourne. We offer 3 to 4 digital marketing services ranging from your websites to social media strategy to sales funnels and whatnot. But these days I actually spend majority of my time strategizing and working with client in a consulting scenario, going through a structure or framework called Story Brand. For those of you who are interested, this is the book, Building a Story Brand by Don Miller. We're one of the few licensed agencies here in Australia, and basically these days I find myself in boardroom and consulting rooms, helping marketers and digital marketers and business owners to clarify the message and build marketing and messaging that works. That's what I do now.
Love it. Hey, is that book available through you? Is it on a website?
Not on my website, but you can basically get it in wherever books are sold. So Amazon, they actually sell it in Kurong as well. But if you're coming to Kingdom Business Summit, I'll be bringing a whole bunch of these books
good.
on a discount.
Okay, good. Otherwise, I was going to put a link up somewhere. But if you're going to have them at the live event, it makes sense that people can just wait until they get there. I love it, man. All right, why don't like brand, right? I reckon it's one of the most misunderstood aspects of business. Is it a logo? Is it feelings? Is it your values, right? How does McDonald's have a brand, but how does Bob's Burger Joint, in the east side of Wagga Wagga build a brand? Like, how can you have a brand across is it just for the big guys? What does it mean for the little guys? Can you just talk into brand? Like, what is it? How do you language it, in terms that small business people would understand?
Yeah, so when you're absolutely right. When it comes to branding, I think it's a bit of a vague word, a bit of a buzzword, and you get your marketing gurus on LinkedIn, on Facebook, like saying, "Oh, you need to build a brand, you need to tell your story, you need to build authority," and then you look at big brands like Nike and Apple and McDonald's. I always say this in my workshop, like taglines like "Just Do It" or "Think Different," they worked in the 70s, right? If you start a clothing brand now and have "Just Do It" as your tagline, it's not going to go well for you, right? So my take on branding is about clarity, is about communications, and it's about when people look at your brand, how do they feel? What emotions are you triggering when people are looking at your logo, looking at your website, and looking at your marketing collaterals? And it all starts with a clear messaging, right? I go around the country now, actually consulting with businesses big or small. I'm amazed that when I land on their website, they tell me we've spent 50 grand, 100 grand on building this website. But when you land on their website or look at their brochure or any marketing material that they've got, you've got absolutely no idea what they do as a business, right? And I think when people are confused, when they associate your brand with confusion, you lose, right? There's a little mantra that we use in our business: if you confuse, you will lose. So branding to me is all about clarity these days. It's not about, it's great to have TV shows and radio shows and Facebook Live and podcasts and content and blogs and all that stuff. But, if all of those mediums are just confusing people, there's no point in doing those things.
Yeah, love it. All right, if you guys are watching, hit the share button. I want to push Alex out to more business people that So, find the share button, whether you're on device, computer, hit share. More people are going to see it. Also, if you've got a question around brand, then send something through. If you really don't want to be on air live, then send your question as text in the comments box, and I will read it to Alex. One of the things that I saw, Alex, years ago was this really interesting concept that brand has to be more than logo. And it has to be more than logo because there's not a huge amount of difference between the cross of Jesus and the swastika, right? Just a few extra ends, right? And yet one stands for, whatever, like one stands for complete freedom, one stands for nothing but, demonic control. So it can't just be that there is, what the image looks like. It's got to be so much more than that. Why don't you tease these guys a little bit around, what's the kind of stuff you're going to be talking about at the event? What's some of your knowledge that's going to get them excited, get them thinking about their business, and then obviously they've got to come back to you at the summit for the rest. What could you speak into the lives of these guys for branding?
Yeah, so the theme for my talk in the summit is going to be stop wasting money on marketing, right? When we talk about branding in particular, most people are spending thousands of dollars to come up with that perfect logo and style guide and color scheme and making sure your website looks really slick with all the animations and all that sort of stuff, right? To us, like, we're in the branding game, but we're probably the first company in the branding game to tell you not to do that stuff because it's a complete waste of money, right? So the theme for the talk that I'm going to give in Melbourne is going to be basically stop wasting money on the pretty stuff. Pretty websites don't sell. We hire, when we are talking branding and building websites, we hire graphic artists and IT specialists. which they have got a degree on Photoshop, but never do they know how to write copy to communicate, to trigger buying decisions, right? People don't buy because of the images or the photos or the graphics that they look at. People buy because of the words, right? So in the summit, I'm going to be talking about how to understand buying behaviors, understand customer psychology, so that you can come up with the right words to drive them into buying decisions, right? So in saying that, it goes really practical because, Facebook ads and Google AdWords, they're all based on text, right? So many people are wasting so much time on A/B testing on different images and come up with different copy and all that. They're wasting time and they're wasting money. If you understand why people buy and come up with that formula in terms of writing the copy that would actually drive people to buy, then you're going to eliminate so much time loss and money wasted on A/B testing and different things.
So you've got a bit of a formula on how to draw out that message, put words
Correct.
around it to hit the trigger points. And then what you're saying is there's no point in doing the other stuff until you've got that, because when you take that and deploy it to Facebook, deploy it to your website, then you're going to get a better outcome, right?
100%, because anyone can start a marketing agency in their bedroom these days, right? You've got a degree in Photoshop or graphic design, or you're some kind of IT geek. You can claim yourself to be a digital marketer and start building websites. But rarely do people understand copywriting. So if you go out to the marketplace and try and find a really good copywriter, they charge you a premium for it, because these people understand people buy because of the words that they read, and they know how to come up with the right words. And that's exactly what I'm going to share in the summit.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it. I mean, that's really, really valuable. What are some examples of stuff you've seen? Like, can you think on your feet right now and go, maybe without talking about the exact specifics, but the customer came to me in this industry, this is the kind of words they were using, went through a process, these are the kind of words we use now, and so forth. Have you got any stories off the top of your head? I mean, I gave you no notes for this live call, right? So I'm just going to kind of throw you under the bus a little bit and see what you've got.
Yeah, 100%. Look, we look at that stuff all the time. We do, well, if people are interested on our Facebook channel, we actually do Facebook reviews live as well. Whereas, people submit their websites and we review them live, and we tell them, this copy works, that copy doesn't work. But some of the examples would be, you go on a website, let's say an international internship company, right? So they specialize in taking graduates to different places in the world and get professional experiences. And on their website, it says your journey starts here, with a photo of the mountain at the back, right? So when you go on that website and you don't, you're only given 2 to 3 seconds research sets when someone decides whether or not they want to engage with your website or engage with your business. When you say your journey starts here with the mountain at the back, people don't know what you're trying to sell. Are you selling mountains, or are you selling software? Are you
hiking
kind of
tours?
camping?
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but the thing is, business owners, they get into this trap all the time, because I can totally understand the psychology of the business owner. Oh, I want to take these people on a journey, right? So they get international career experiences. Their lives going to be changed and all that. I totally understand that mindset, but if you don't really think about, when people land on your website and look at your marketing message, what's that first reaction, and craft your messaging around that, you're just wasting money.
Yeah. Right.
Another example would be, 3D printing company, featuring a drone that moves. So when you're on their website, you cursor around, the drone actually moves with your cursor. See, they're wasting things on this kind of stuff, right? Wasting money on this kind of stuff, which doesn't even work on mobile. So companies just miss the mark all the time, and frankly, this is like 95% of the websites that we see.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that people are up against is these graphic designers who are trying to outdo each other with, tricks and stuff like this. And I've said to you for years, none of that works. Like, a consumer wants to know in 3 seconds, like, what do you do and how do you help me, right? And
Exactly.
if you could articulate that, then they might give you the rest of the time to work out what else you've got.
100%. So yeah, we talk about this all the time. There are three main questions when people will ask when they look at your marketing.
Well, this is good.
Number one, what do you sell?
Yep.
Sorry. Number one, what do you sell? Number two, how is this going to make my life better? And number three, what do I do to buy? Right. Then now we turn around and look at most of our clients' websites. We don't know what they're selling. All that they're talking about is just them, like how they the experts in their field, or what the features are. A team photo, a field photo of the building of their website. They spend trillions of dollars producing that company history video, and then there's no call to action on their website. What do I do to buy? Right? Just these simple things. You can just spend $200 when you get your messaging right, you get the structure right, you spend $200 on Upwork to find someone to build you a decent looking website, and you'll be converting like crazy.
Yeah, love it. Hey, here's something for you that I find really, really interesting. One of the things I've noticed lately, there's two brands that have really jumped out to me, two brands from my youth that have now become really popular again. And one of them is Fila, right? You know Fila, the brand of clothing, Fila. And everyone's walking around now in their Fila slippers, which are not cool, but that's not part of the conversation. How does a brand that in the 1980s, the mid 80s, like basically dominated, like I come from England, everybody in England wanted these Fila ankle high boots, right? Everybody. And, and then you didn't see Fila at the end of the 90s and 2000, like it was, but now they're back again, right? And the other brand that's done the same is Wrangler. Right, Wrangler, were very important jeans, and then no one heard about them unless you were like some hick farmer, and now they're back as a mainstream brand. How does, I just want you to talk into the kind of legacy you can build with a good brand, and how can a brand span 30 years like that, to be able to resurge itself. And I don't know, the company may have been taken over in those cases. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But how does a brand go from top of mind and 20 years later top of mind again?
It's interesting. Well, first of all, I actually don't know those two brands that you've mentioned, but what I would estimate is they have been successful in building or reviving a tribe. So people actually find meaning when they associate themselves with the brand. So another example was obviously Apple is obvious example. Obviously they've dropped the ball these in recent years, but in the early days of Steve Jobs, they've really been able to build a tribe. Everyone they change the color of their headphones. Everyone thinks white headphones are cool. And like another brand would be Harley Davidson. Can you believe people actually tattoo their company logo on their bodies, right? So I think it just comes down to identity, right? So in the framework, in the story brand framework that I talk about, it talks about the character, right? So every story will have a character, right? Jason Bourne, Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker. These are characters of the story. And when you really think about it, this character always has something that he wants, or he wants to become someone else, right? So what I'm trying to say is if a brand is able to insert their products and their brand value and their brand proposition into someone's identity, they're going to win, right? Meaning that when I'm tattooing Harley Davidson's logo on my body, it actually represents me as a Harley Davidson person, right? Same goes to Nike, Adidas, and all these big brands that they're associated with, right? I'm a proud Apple person, and there's an identity indication there. When you build a successful brand, people react to you emotionally, and you play an essential part in the identities of these individuals.
Yeah, I love it. Still a bit of a tragedy that you have no idea who those two brands are, Wrangler and Fila, but that's okay. It's all right. We'll work on that. We'll take you shopping when we catch up with you next. All right. Do we have Rebecca? Let's see if we can get Rebecca in and through, and let's see if we can give her some value.
Help you?
Hey, Rebecca, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm getting better. Yes.
All right, we've got Alex here. He can hear you. Have you got a question for either of us around brand?
Yes.
All right, fire away.
Okay. So my question is, I have a business that sell natural skincare, pampering products. Our target audience actually female that wants beautiful packaging and gorgeous product, especially for gift. However, but what we also found is there's also a group of the customer who just want to use the product for personal use, but they don't want any packaging. So my question is, would it be better for me to add this division under my current business name to offer no packaging, bulk buying option, or would it be better to create any other business, have a different name, and offering the same product that focus on without packaging and the bulk buying option? Which one would be better in your opinion?
So Alex, you get the question, right? There's two different customers, right? We've got a low end and a top end. Do I keep it as one brand, do them all, or two brands and do either one? Well, what do you reckon?
Yeah, so number one, I'm not really big on brand names and rebranding and coming up with different brands, because number one is an administrative nightmare trying to handle multiple brands and whatnot. However, what I love about what you're saying is you've got a clear, you're very clear on your niches. So what I like to advise you on is you really need to work out what these people really want. So going back to just my earlier conversation with the character, what do they really want? Okay. So what I'm hearing is one of your niches, they would use your products as a gift idea. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that
Yep.
sorry? Yeah. So
Yep.
and the other. Yeah, and the other niche is obviously using the product for themselves. So how I would differentiate the two would be, you need to be clear on people coming to you to buy the gifts as packaging. They want to use your products to impress someone, right? So in your messaging or in your branding, is about giving your loved one something that they love, or impress your clients, or impress the people that you love, right? So you just need to be really clear on that messaging versus the people who want your products just for skincare, right? Because they don't care about impressing anyone else. They just want good skin, right? So short answer to you, I don't really have an opinion on whether or not you should start a new brand and call it something else. But definitely you would want to build two different silos, or what we call funnels, and drive the right traffic into those silos, so that you in your brand messaging you're honing into what they want, their problems, and you're going to convert them that way.
So Rebecca, just stay on the phone for a second. Alex, what do you reckon though? Do you think you can have one brand and two very distinct audiences? Do you think is that detrimental? Doesn't matter? What do you reckon?
I honestly don't really think it matters a lot, because I mean, in an ideal world, yes, you do want to. I mean, if I were in Rebecca's shoes and I have got the resources, I will go into creating two different brands and create different identities visually and messaging and all that, and just treat them as two distinct companies. But if you're under resourced and you're time poor and you don't really have the resources to go into building multiple brands, what I would do is build your company around the brand butter. So for example, if the packaging and the gift idea is your brand butter, build that, and then create a little landing page or a little sub brand separate to the website for the skincare stuff.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that most customers are not aware of half of the stuff we do anyway. So
100%.
You could have one brand and you could put out a whole bunch of marketing to a high-end client and talk in their language for their needs. Then you could put out a whole bunch of marketing to a low-end client, and they're not even going to realize that you probably even, like, there might be a 10% overlap. Half of most of them are not even going to realize that you have a different product. They're going to find the one that best suits them.
100%. To me, it's all in the execution, right? What kind of effort, time, and money is going to take for you to build a new brand and have new designs and all that stuff. So I would be just using as much current stuff as possible and just create different silos separate to the main brand and make sure the messaging is crystal clear and completely separate, and just drive the right traffic, because people are not looking at logos and brands and stuff. They're just looking at the messaging and what's in it for them. So, if you hit the mark, then you'll win.
I love what you just said. Like, it's all in the execution, because I reckon that nails it, right? Because you could have two brands and execute badly. You could have one brand and execute badly, right? Or, you could have one brand, two products, execute really well, and it will work. Whether you have one entity or two is probably not the deal maker on whether this goes well. It's about your ability to communicate independently to the right audience.
100%. 100%.
Rebecca, you're awesome. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So if you've got a question, put it into the comments box or send us a message, and we will get you on here too to talk with Alex. Here's something I just thought of, Alex, just to throw you under the bus a little bit at the summit. If people here are unsure about their brand, I reckon hassle him at the event and just throw it in front of him and say, what do you reckon? And maybe you can come up with some pointers here and there. And maybe there'll be about 15 people deep, 20 people deep at some of these cities. And, we're not paying you, right? So we'll just get you really busy.
Man, is as I said, it's already an honor just to be a part of this. So, but one thing that we're going to do in the summit, because we're going to have a display table, is we're going to set up a little laptop where we'll actually be reviewing people's websites live, right? So we'll have a little list there. You put your name down, and then you'll spend 10, 15 minutes with me, and I'll pull your website apart and just tell you, change this, change that, change your messaging, and, watch your sales go up.
I love it, man. Hey, listen, there'll be people out there who watch this and potentially aren't coming to the summit, right? Which would be crazy, but let's say there were people watching. Just speak into that for a minute. What would you say to somebody? I mean, you obviously, you came many years ago. Speaking to those people that might be sitting on the fence, right? It's $79, it's 2 whole days. What would you say to those people?
Well, to me, Kingdom Business Summit is all about community. Yes, we are going to get amazing content, and yes, we're going to get amazing coaching from Wez. And I always, look, this is like completely honest. I always tell people Wez Hone is the best Christian business coach in Australia, if not in the world, right? So this, Kingdom Business Summit is probably the best, Christian business community and event in Australia, certainly, and I would argue in the world as well, because it's super practical. We are going to dive, what have you ever been to a Christian business event where you talk about Facebook ads and Google AdWords and how to write copy that sells, right? It's super practical stuff. We're not just like rah Christians, Bible bashing, and just talking purpose and all these good stuff, but get washed out over time. So we get super practical, but the biggest value for me for Kingdom Business Summit is definitely the community. I've met some amazing people throughout the years, and it's just liberating and it's very liberating when you see people in the same room who's got the same heart, really trying to break into the marketplace and fight Babylon, and have the same heart doing business, and it's just an amazing vibe. That's why I keep going back each year.
Awesome, man. Appreciate that. Well, Alex, I appreciate your time heaps. I know you're busy, you got lots on, you got the whole team around you probably asking for your time, so you've carved this time out. Really appreciate it. The client, we just spent a week with clients, told them you're coming, they're really excited. So I reckon you'll be pretty inundated with people at the event. I certainly love brand. I think brand was lost 10 years ago, and I think now it's absolutely amazing. So, and you're certainly an authority in that space. So I appreciate you jumping online with us. That's super cool. Hey guys, if you're watching this after the fact, jump into the comments box, put a question there. Either me or maybe Alex can check in later and see if there's a question and answer that for you. But Alex will be at each of the events. If you haven't registered yet, let me just be clear. Melbourne and Gold Coast, there's like 3 or 4 tickets each for those. And so you need to jump in real quick. Sydney's got some space, but that'll probably wrap up in the next week. Adelaide's got some space. That's 6 or 7 weeks away, so we've got a little bit of time there. But if you're Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, you need to move real fast, because we're going to be closing registrations in only a matter of days. kingdombusiness.com.au. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you for the next episode, episode 20. Thursday this week. Bless you.